Now, I'll talk about copyright, fair use, and intellectual property in the digital space. So, in this discussion, I'll provide an overview of copyright, fair use concept, and intellectual property within the context of the digital space. Here, I will analyze the fundamental principles of copyright law, examine the doctrine of fair use and its application to digital content, and also I will discuss the various aspects of intellectual property relevant to the online environment. So, the objective is to provide a foundational understanding of these concepts for content creators, digital content creators, users, and business or businesses operating in the digital realm. So, the basics of copyright is a form of legal protection granted to the creators of original work of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, and certain other intellectual works. So, this protection is available to both published and unpublished works. So, copyright law grants creators exclusive rights over their work, including their right to reproduce, distribute, display, and create derivative works. So, what is protected by copyright? So, copyright protects the expression of an idea, not the idea itself. This means that while an author can copyright a specific story, they cannot copyright the underlying concept or theme. So, the examples of works protected by copyright include literary works like books, articles, blog posts, etc. Then musical works like songs, compositions, etc. Dramatic works, plays, screenplays, etc. Pantomimes and choreographic works, so pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion pictures and other audiovisual works, sound recordings, architectural works. So, copyright ownership generally it means the author of a work who is the initial owner of the copyright. However, there are exceptions such as works made for hire, where the employer or commissioning party is considered the author and copyright owner. So, copyright ownership can also be transferred through the assignment or licensing agreements. Now, to talk about copyright duration, the duration of copyright protection varies depending on the date the work was created. For works created after January 1st, 1978, copyright protection generally lasts for the life of the author plus 70 years. So, for corporate works, that is, works made for hire, those who are hired or recruited for making certain or create certain original piece of work, the duration is typically 95 years from the year of its first publication, or it can be 120 years from the year of creation, whichever expires first. Now, the works published before 1928 are generally in the public domain in the United States. So now I'll talk about copyright infringement. So copyright infringement occurs when someone violates these exclusive rights of the copyright holder without permission. So this can include unauthorized reproduction, distribution, display, or creation of the original or the derivative works. So copyright infringement can lead to legal action, including lawsuits for damage and injunctions to stop such infringing activity. Now I'll talk about fair use doctrine. So fair use is a legal doctrine that permits the limited use of a copyrighted material without permission from the copyright holder. So it is an exception to the exclusive rights granted by copyright law and is intended to promote freedom of expression and creativity. So there are four factors of the fair use doctrine. The determination of whether a particular use qualifies as fair use is based on four different factors for balancing this test. The purpose and character of the use. This factor considers whether the use is transformative, for example, adds new expression or new meaning to the original work, and whether it is commercial or non-profit. So transformative uses are more likely to be considered as fair use. Now, the nature of the copyrighted work. So this factor considers the type of work being used. Using factual works is more likely to be considered as fair use than using highly creative works. Now, the amount and substantiality of the portion used. This factor considers how much of the copyrighted work was used and whether the portion used was the heart of the work. So, using a small portion of the work is more likely to be considered fair use than using a large portion of the original work. The fourth factor is the effect of the use upon the potential market for a value of the copyrighted work. So, this factor considers whether the use harms the market for the original work or its derivatives. If the use serves as a substitute for the original work, it is less likely to be considered as fair use. So, fair use examples in the digital space is often involved for activities such as criticism and commentary. So, using copyrighted material to critique or comment on the original work itself or on broader social issues is permissible. In news reporting, using copyrighted material to report on current events. Similarly, teaching and scholarships using copyrighted material for educational purpose, such as in classroom or research papers. Then, parody. So, using copyrighted material to create a humorous or satirical work that imitates the original work. There are different search engines also, so indexing and displaying snippets of copyrighted material in search results. Now, there are certain limitations of this fair use concept. So, fair use is a fact specific determination, and there is no bright line of rule for determining whether a particular use qualifies the fair use doctrine or not. It is important to carefully consider all four factors and to consult with the legal counsel if you are unsure whether your use is a fair use or for other purpose. Now, I'll talk about intellectual property rights in the digital sphere. So, intellectual property refers to the creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, images used in commerce, means business. In the digital space, IP encompasses a wide range of assets, including software, database, websites, and digital content. So, there are different types of intellectual property. So, besides copyright, other key types of intellectual property relevant to the digital space include patents. So, patents protect inventions or innovations and discoveries. So, in the digital space or digital sphere, patents can cover software algorithms and business methods. Then, trademarks. So, trademarks protect brand names, logos, and other symbols used to identify and distinguish goods or services. In the digital space, trademarks are used to protect domain names, website names, and online brands. Then, trade secrets. These are all coming under intellectual property acts. So, trade secrets. Trade secrets protect confidential information that gives a business a competitive edge. So, in the digital space, trade secrets can include software code, customers list, clients list, and marketing strategies. Now, there are different challenges to this IP protection in the digital space. First is ease of copying and distribution. So, digital content can be easily copied and distributed, making it difficult to control unauthorized use or to track down the unauthorized uh, users. Second is the global reach. The internet transcends national borders, making it difficult to enforce IP rights across different jurisdictions across the world. Then, anonymity. So, online anonymity can make it more difficult to identify and pursue the infringers or the users who are unauthorized users. So, there are also certain strategies for protecting IP in the digital space. So, the first is the copyright registration. So, registering the copyright within the US Copyright Office provides legal benefits and strengthens the ability to enforce the copyrights of the owner. In India, also, the same Copyrights Act is there. So, the owner can register, the original author can register the title of the book and also the content. Similarly, trademark registration. So, registering the trade mark with the Patent Authority in India and Trademarks Office provides legal protection for that particular brand. Next is the use of digital rights management, DRM technologies. So, DRM technologies can restrict access to and use of digital content. Then, monitoring and enforcement. So, regulatory or regularly monitoring the internet for infringing activity and take action to enforce the IP rights. Licensing agreements. So, granting licenses to others to use your UP in exchange for royalties or other financial considerations. Then the terms of service and privacy policies clearly determine the terms of use for that particular website or online service and protect users' privacy.